Hello viewer, a warm welcome to Elimu TV where you watch and learn. I'm your teacher, Madam Christine Okot, taking you through Biology Form 2 as this is our fourth lesson. We're continuing from where we left last time. For any feedback or any question that you'd like to ask, you can feel free to SMS us on the number 407. You can write to us, our Facebook page is Elimu TV, and you can also write to us, our Twitter handle is @Elimu_KE. So let us have a preview of what we're going to learn today in this lesson. First, we're going to review the previous assignment. Then we're going to define transpiration. We're going to look at the three types of transpiration. We're also going to review the structure of a leaf. And lastly, I'm going to give you an assignment. So first, let us start by reviewing the previous assignment, which was state the importance of the following mineral salts to plants. The first mineral salt was magnesium, and its importance in plant is that it's the key element in chlorophyll formation. Then the second mineral salt is phosphorus. It helps, it promotes the early root formation and growth. And lastly, the last mineral salt was calcium. Its function in plant is it helps in continuous cell division and formation. So let us define what transpiration is. Transpiration is the loss of water from plants by evaporation. So evaporation is simply the loss of water by the plants. It normally occurs at the surface of the leaf because that is where you find the stomatas. Excess water loss may harm the plant. Transpiration is the driving force that pulls water up from the roots to the leaves to supply photosynthesizing tissues, because the plants need to undergo the process of photosynthesis, and in this case they need water and carbon dioxide as their raw product. So by transpiration, when the water is lost by the plant, there will be need for more uptake of water. So they ensure there is continuous uptake of water so that it can be used for the process of photosynthesis. So it occurs mainly at the leaves while their stomatas are open for the passage of carbon dioxide and oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. So simply you say transpiration is just the loss of water from the plants by the process we call evaporation. Plants lose a lot of water through the process of transpiration. So as long as the stomata will still be open, there's no way we can avoid the loss of water through the stomata. So excessive loss of water, it can cause the plants to wilt. Some plants can even die. You can look at the structures of leaves where there is no water. So the dehydration of the water, it causes the plants to wither, they wilt, and most of them can end up dying. So looking at our illustration, we can see where the stomatas are located. For example, in the dicot, the stomatas mostly are on the surface of the leaves. And in the monocot seed, they are on each leaf surface, but they are distributed equally. So the small pores that you can observe at the surface of the leaves, those are the pores that we call the stomatas, which are used for the process of transpiration. Most water lost by plant is through the stomata in the leaves. A small amount is lost through the cuticles in the epidermis and the lenticels in the stems. So the main thing that helps in the process is what we call the stomata. So our illustration helps us to figure out what the stomata is and how it looks like. So what is a stomata? It's basically the openings that we found at the surface of the leaf. They naturally allow the water to evaporate outside. So the stomata, they are surrounded by the cells we call the guard cells. So why would the plants close the stomata with the guard cell? There's a need for some time the guard cells to close the stomata because they prevent excessive loss of water. So they help in the conservation of water. So when the guard cells open up, it means that there is a loss of water. When they close up, they are trying to prevent the excess water loss. So, what is the point of having the stomata if we are trying to prevent excessive loss of water? The main point is they allow the gas exchange for the process of photosynthesis. As we know, the raw product of photosynthesis is water and carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide needs to get into the plant through the stomatas, the openings at the surface of the leaf. Moving forward, in transpiration, there's what we call the water cycle. It helps in it's one of the vital processes in the water cycle. So let us look at this water cycle and see where the transpiration comes in. So from the roots, we have salts and we have water and mineral salts from the root surface. Then they are absorbed inside the plant through the xylem vessel. Now, when they go in the plants, they will be used in the process of photosynthesis. Now, when there is water loss by the process of transpiration, the water will be lost through the evaporation. Then they will condense the evaporation. They will form some clouds in the sky, up in the sky. So when too much of the evaporates are gathered, they will condense through the process, then they will fall back as rains. So when they fall back as rain, the cycle still continues. So transpiration ensures that there is data cycle of water because it's a vital process for the water cycle. They ensure that there is water which is surrounding within the environment. So let us look at why is transpiration very important, especially to the plants. The first reason is cooling of plants. So on hot days, the surface of the plants, they will always heat up. So too much heat, they hinder the activities of enzymes and other activities. So as we know, the enzymes, there are some enzymes which cannot work. There are some enzymes which cannot work where the temperatures are very high. So due to too much temperatures, they will cease to work or the reaction of the enzymes will slow down. So evaporation of water from the leaf surface takes place causing the cooling of water. We can just compare it as, for example, the humans. When there's too much heat in the atmosphere, people will tend to sweat. And by sweating, there are some pores of water which will be noticed at the surface of the skin. So those pores of water, they act as a cooling. They cool the body of maybe let's say the animal or the human being. So the same way it applies to the plants. So when these plants, when transpiration occurs, the surface of the leaf will be wet. So those pores of water, they signify that they are trying to help the plants to cool down. Another importance of transpiration is in the process of the uptake of water. It ensures there is a continuous uptake of water from the root. As more water is lost, there is need for more water uptake. So let us look at our illustration and try to explain this point. So from the surface of, from the roots, the water will enter through the root hair cells, that is through osmosis. Then there will be a transpirational pool of water that is by the process with the help of the xylem tissues. So when the water reaches the surface of the leaves, there is where the evaporation will take place. Now, there needs to be a balance between the water that is taken in and the water that is lost. So, by water being lost by the process of transpiration, there will be that need to replace this water that has been lost by transpiration through the roots. So the roots, they come as a balancing of the water which has been lost through the process of transpiration. Another importance of transpiration is in the distribution of mineral salts. As water flows through the plants, it carries with it the mineral salts dissolved in it, which are distributed through the plant. So looking at our illustration, we can see the mineral salts which are dissolved in water. They are taken in through the roots. So when they're taken in through the roots, the process of transpiration will help so that this distribution of water, because that balance that needs to be created created between the uptake of water and the water which is being lost. It helps so that the more mineral salts will be dissolved in, or they will be taken up as the water also goes up. Another importance of transpiration is in the water cycle, just as we have explained earlier. It ensures that there is water circulating within the environment. So from transpiration, it releases approximately 10% of water back into the environment. As we have discussed earlier, transpiration is one of the key processes in the cycle of water. So it helps to retain, or it approximately releases 10% of water back into the environment so that the cycle of water can still continue. Another importance of transpiration, it supports photosynthesis and gaseous exchange. By losing water, uptake of water is essential for the process of photosynthesis. As we have discussed earlier, photosynthesis is the making of food through using light, and the raw products of photosynthesis, we have carbon dioxide and water. So when water is lost through transpiration, the need of it being replaced by the xylem vessels, so it will create a balance whereby this will create a balance so that there's also water which is being taken up for the process of photosynthesis, so that we can get the products which are sugars, that are the carbohydrates and oxygen atoms. So it also encourages the exchange of gases, that is, it helps in maintaining levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the environment. They will take in carbon dioxide for the synthesis of food, while they are going to release oxygen because it's a byproduct. So this continuous process, it's like a cycle. It helps, the process of transpiration normally helps so that there's continuous uptake of carbon dioxide, and there's continuous releasing of oxygen into the environment, whereby the plants need this oxygen for the process of respiration. So we move forward, let us look at the three types of transpiration that we have. First, we have the cuticular transpiration, we have the lenticular transpiration, and lastly, we have the stomatal transpiration. We're going to look at each of these three types of transpiration, and we're going to start with the cuticular transpiration. So what is this? The cuticle, first of all, these are the waxy layers that cover the upper epidermis of the leaf. So if you take a keen look at a leaf, you can try to peel off. There's a layer that easily peels off. It's a very thin layer which is very waxy. That part that can easily peel off and it's very transparent is what we call the cuticle. So a thin cuticle will allow higher rate of water, that is evaporation, while a thick cuticle, it will not allow high rate of water loss. So the cuticles are normally found at the surface of the leaf. So they help in the loss of water is in the form of water vapors through the cuticle. So when the thinner the cuticle, the more water it's going to lose, while the vice versa, which is the thicker the cuticle, the less water it's going to lose to the environment. So the second type of transpiration is what we call the lenticular transpiration. So what are these lenticels? This is one of the many raised pores in the stem of a woody plant that allows the gas exchange between the atmosphere and the internal structure. So looking at our illustration here, we can locate where the cuticles are. So there are those openings, the very small openings that are found on the stems. So if a plant has more lenticels, it means that it's going to lose more water, and the vice versa. When the plant does not have much of the lenticel, it means that it's going to minimize on the loss of water. Then the last type of transpiration is what we call stomatal transpiration, which is very common. That is what we normally know. So this is loss of water through the openings of the surface of the leaf. We call the stomata. So stomata, they are the small pores confined to the epidermis of green shoots and of leaf. So there is a structure of the stomata, the small openings at the surface of the leaf. So the openings and closings of stomata are controlled by the cells which we have mentioned earlier that are called the blood cell. So maximum loss is 80 to 90% of the total water from the plant tissue takes place through the stomata opening. So a large percentage of transpiration or a large percentage of water lossage takes place through the stomata. That is roughly 80 to 90%, while the other percentage is through the lenticels and the cuticle. So those are the three types of transpiration. Moving forward, because we've said that transpiration normally takes place at the surface of the leaf, so let us just have a review of how it takes place at the structures of the leaf. So in our diagram, the arrows indicate the movement of water out of the cells into the air space and out of the leaf via the stomata. The evaporated water is replaced by water drawn from the neighboring cells by osmosis and from the xylem vessels of the leaf. So looking at our structure, from the xylem tissues, the water will be taken into the air spaces in between them. Then they'll move down to the stomata pores. Then they will be lost into the surrounding. So there's a video I'd like to introduce to you that is going to summarize what we just talked about transpiration. So that video has just explained what is transpiration and how transpiration occurs at the surface of the leaf. That has been our lesson for today, and before we leave, I'm going to leave you with an assignment. Question number 1, state the 3 types of transpiration and explain which one plants lose more water. Number 2, describe how plants lose water through the leaves. So thank you very much for watching. You can feel free to SMS us on the numbers 40007. You can write to us our Facebook page, Elimu TV. You can also write to us. Our Twitter handle is @Elimu_KE. Thank you for watching. I've been your teacher, Madam Christine Okot.